Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Challengers of the New World Season 1. This is game number 8 in a best of 15 series between Aizamk and Umeu, where every vanilla civilization has to be played. Absolutely. That is the rules of this event. But game number 8, you might question me, because we have indeed gone straight from game number 6 to game number 8. I have missed out game number 7 entirely, and that is because I haven't casted it. It is not on my YouTube channel. You will not find it. However, you can still watch it. It's on somebody else's YouTube channel. It's on my good friend BTM's YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/BigThunderMan. But before you head on over there, or click the link in the description, which will take you to his cast of game number 7. I'd like to tell you a little bit about him. He is, of course, another person who makes Age of Empires 3 videos, a bit like me, though he has a different focus. He likes to play his own games, record his own gameplay, that kind of thing, and talk over the top of that, whereas I like to, I have done videos like that, but my focus mainly is taking games of the expert playing and watching recorded games. I like to do pros, the commentary over the pro gameplay. That's what I like to do. So there are differences between what we do, though I do think BTM would quite like to get into casting in the way that I do it. So I offered him game number 7 to cast, and he said he would like to do it, and he's kind of doing it as a favour to me, because it certainly is going to help get my event, Challengers of the New World, out to more people. And, definitely I expect the majority of you watching this video are subscribed to both me and Big Thunder Man, but there will be some people who are only subscribed to me, and there will also be some people who are only subscribed to him. So I think this is an excellent way for us both to get each other's content out there to those audiences who perhaps don't know or are not subscribed yet to us both. So there is certainly that. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about the game that is ahead right in front of us. So feel free to click on that link. But remember that it is BCM's first ever cast. To my knowledge, he's never casted a recorded game before. But it's definitely a very entertaining game to watch, and I really did enjoy his commentary. So yeah, go ahead and click on that link. Of course you're all going to, because you need to watch these games in the order that they were played. Well, I suppose it's up to you, but it's certainly Umeu here, finding himself a pool of Quicksilver worth 65 coin. That's definitely a fairly large amount of coin he's found so far. I believe his first treasure was 55 coin, absolutely, followed by 40 XP and then 30 XP, as we can see here. So, 120 coin from treasure finds is actually really good. He's also got 100 coin on the floor there. That's 220 coin. That's crazy. He's chosen not to collect this up, opting to leave it on the floor there. Of course, coin isn't going to help you age up any faster, but what it does do is allow you to get an early market, which all German players should be doing. Putting his units in the town centre there to try and kill his opponent's explorer, definitely removing some of the HP and going to make that less useful for collecting treasures with. We'll switch over to Aizamk in just a moment, but market is definitely something Germany likes to do. So the fact that he has not built one suggests to me that he has some sort of aggressive agenda in mind, either a rush or perhaps some sort of fast fortress play where a market would actually slow you down too much, and of course you want to get up to the next stage quickly for the reasons of the strategy that you have in mind. So let's take a look at his opponent, but before we do that, take a look here at how much aged up he is. Take a look at that age bar there. Get a good eyeful of that. Let's move over to the south of the map. In the colour blue, we have Aizamk playing as the Ottomans, almost entirely aged up. Ottoman is very strong in this patch. It is definitely one of the top tier civilizations next to Iroquois, and it is strong for so many reasons. Firstly, as you can see, it ages up very quickly because its settlers do not cost anything. They train for free, though they train a lot slower, but they still train for free, meaning that you have so much extra food early game that you just age up so much faster. They get a trading post basically for free at the beginning of the game, since they start with mostly just wood crates. I mean, if they started with food crates like regular civilizations, then wow, they would even stronger. They'd be able to age up as the moment their game began, but fortunately that is not the case. They get a free trading post, essentially, right? And they also have some very powerful colonial age capabilities, as well as fortress age capabilities, and also the fact that you know they can do either a colonial agenda or go up with a fortress age agenda, and you have to actually identify which one they're doing, and then modify your build appropriately to deal with them makes them stronger as well. But, the fact that Abbas guns are just so strong on this patch is insane. For those of you who don't know, Abbas guns do 40 range damage, but it's not range damage. It's actually siege damage, which means that no unit has a siege damage resist. It either has a melee damage resist, like this settler here, which resists 20% of melee damage, or it has a ranged resist, and siege damage is, just totally negates it. So Germany, in this matchup, might be going up quickly to the colonial age and not building his market because he's afraid of the Ottomans' ability to rush him very quickly indeed. There is certainly that. But by the looks of it, Aizamk here, not choosing to build any military production facilities, and actually just collected nothing but food, and has sent his 700 coin, allowing him to get up to the next stage. And that leads us on nicely into what they can do in the fortress age. They've got one of the fastest fast fortresses in the game, for the same reason that they get to the colonial age so quickly. They get up at 7 minutes to the fortress. Usually other civilizations are around 7:30. And they have some very, very cost-effective shipments, such as 8 Janissaries, 5 Abbas guns, 2 cannons, and even the strongest shipment in the game. Like, literally the strongest shipment in Age of Empires 3. This gives you the most value upon impact, upon hitting the game board. 5 Mamelukes. It's insane. Very, very powerful. So Ottoman, let's switch over to Umeu and, see what he is up to. But, what can he do in this matchup? Well, he could play a colonial agenda if he's anticipating a rush. And by the looks of it, of course, has 2 Yolans now coming in. This is looking like, for the first time, he's going to scout out what his opponent's doing. So bearing in mind, Umeu here actually going up to the Fortress Age as well. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Let's see if he can get some raids. And coming in here to perhaps kill a settler, Aizamk being very quick on the ball, of course, to pop it in there. But I think now he can be fairly confident that his opponent's going to fast Fortress. He has got his Explorer down here. He can bring that in and double check as well. So he knows his opponent is going up with the fast Fortress. He hasn't scouted any military production facilities, or he's about to see if there's one here and all that kind of stuff. So he's sending 3 settler wagons as his next home city shipment. He sent, first of all, 700 coins in the colonial age. First shipment he sent, that gave him 2 Yolans absolutely free due to the German age up bonus, and then he can use those, to raid. But the 700 coin is going to get him to the Fortress Age, which is exactly what he's done. Next shipment would normally be 700 wood, but since he's identified his opponent is actually not going to be rushing him, this gives him a bit of extra time to play with, and actually makes it perfectly viable to send the 3 settler wagons, which, bear in mind, is the strongest colonial age shipment in the game. Colonial age shipment. It's the equivalent of 6 settlers. And you get 2 Yolans because you're playing as Germany. That's like 10 populations worth of stuff from a single shipment. It's very, very good. 2 more Yolans going to help him raid. And, yeah. Basically, the 700 wood would allow him to build a bunch of houses and build his, perhaps, barracks or stable, whatever he wants to do. But since his opponent isn't going to be, attacking him right now, he can indeed send 3 settler wagons and instead chop the wood. Because in the long term, he can, that'll be way better for him, and he can sort of get away with that. But, yeah, why is he going up to Fortress Age, though, if Ottoman is so strong in Colonial? And, he didn't, we saw he'd already chosen to go up with the fast Fortress before he'd even managed to scout his opponent here, catching these 2 Hussars off guard here. One of the definitely good things about Germany is that you get all these free Yolans here, and you can do stuff like this, like catching a couple of units out of the position there, and you can do that early raiding and stuff. But, clearly going up with the, the marksman, you get 6 skirmishers there, now up to Fortress. But, yes, Aizamk, what? He's got 2,000 food and 1,200 gold. He sent 700 food in Colonial. What is he doing? He's going up to Industrial Age with the Grand Vizier. That's going to grant him 3 Spahi, but because he'll be in Industrial Age, there'll be Guard Spahi, so that's definitely one of the stronger politicians there. Normally there'd just be, Veteran Spahi, because he'd be in Fortress, but Guard Spahi, definitely very strong here. He went up with, by the looks of it, the Scout. He doesn't have any military buildings just yet, so, clearly he hasn't, these are just age-up politician units here. He went up with the Scout for 4 cavalry, using them, I think, to, perhaps try and do some raiding, but I think what he's trying to do, now sending 1,000 wood, he's clearly going for a fast revolt, naked fast revolt. I have not seen this done properly in a very long time. I wouldn't say it's quite as secure as a rush or a fast fortress, but it's definitely very entertaining, and we all know what Aizamk likes to do. Very anti-meta, and if this catches you off guard, I think this can be just as strong. Of course, these Hussars here will become Imperial Hussar upon hitting up when he gets that revolt, and he needs 1,000 of each resource. That's why he's sending the wood here. This is absolutely insane. Will he be able to hold it, though? Because, of course, Umeu now up to Fortress. 9 Black Riders on the way. I think he's very aware of what's going on here. He's seen no military production facilities. He knows that there are no units coming out. He's probably seen that 1,000 wood shipment. He's like, this guy's going up to the industrial age. He knows that he's going to try and revolt, and that one of the politicians grants you 10 Imperial Hussar, and it turns all of your other Hussars, such as this one right here, into Imperial Hussars as well. That is crazy. He's going to need some anti-cavalry to deal with that. Otherwise, he's going to get absolutely torn apart here. Now, about to hit up with the 3 Spahis here. These are Guard Spahi. They've got like 1,000 hit points, and 1,000 hit points and 45 attack, hand attack. Area 3 going to absolutely shred through the skirmishes here. Ableting to hold just with this on its own, though. The Black Rose do turn up here, and oh, taking out 1,000 hit points worth of Spahi just in one volley here. That goes to show exactly how strong Black Riders are against cavalry. So there is certainly that. But let's switch back over to Umeu, because I remember something I was talking about, which I really didn't able to finish. All of this first revolt stuff really threw me off course. But we saw he went up to the Industrial Age, right? No, so to the Fortress Age. We saw the red player, Germany here, went up to the Fortress Age, Fast Fortress, before he even scouted the Ottoman player. And why did he do that, you might ask me? Because, of course, Ottoman are very strong colonial age, and that pressure would perhaps easily break through a Fast Fortress, and just if you've got nothing in colonial, you're going to get shredded to part. But you know, whilst that does kind of sound true, I wouldn't say it's entirely that true, because, well, you know, holding an Ottoman push early game is quite difficult with just crossbowmen. I mean, you're Germany, you do not have musketeers, there is certainly that. 5 war wagons definitely now popping out here, going to be very, of course, good against cavalry. 5 Doppelsonders on the way as well, nothing but anti-cavalry from this player. 8 spies popping out, oh my lord, what is he doing? Aizamk playing so anti-meta, it is absolutely ridiculous. Spies have 5 damage times 20 versus mercenaries. That's 100 damage. Look at them. They're just punching their way through these Black Riders. A lot of them now very low hit points, as you can see. But Black Riders do move faster, and while spies are very strong against mercenaries, if you outrange them and you can move faster, then in theory you're never going to get attacked. So actually these spies just about as useful as pikemen against say dragoons is that kind of syndrome here, except on a much more higher damage output and higher risk level here. But in theory Black Riders can counter spies because they move faster and can stay out of range, so there is certainly that. And as you can see, spies only have 5 hand attack. They suck against everything that isn't a mercenary here. I think what he's going to have to do is get these out of here, put them in the stealth mode, and then sneak up on the of course Black Riders here. You know, especially since the Explorer's dead there. The Explorer will reveal stealth units, but if these spies are stealthed, they can get up close to these Black Riders and be very useful there. Certainly there is that. But what was I talking about? Something about, yeah, it's hard to hold an Ottoman push with just crossbowmen. Crossbowmen don't have that much more range than the Janissary, and here comes the spies coming in again. Perhaps they're going to get some damage in, but these being very quick to get away, and as you can see, just losing a couple of spies there for free without really doing too much. I think he really does need to stealth them. Let's switch over to Aizamk here. We see getting very close to this Industrial Age revolt. He needs 1,000 of each resources. That's what we're looking for here, but is he going to be able to hold this? Of course, I don't really think he wanted to send the 9 cavalry archers. He'd rather save that once he's revolted and send 16 colonial militia, but having to send that now to actually hold this push, he's definitely crumbling here, spending some of the resources, some of the food and some of the gold on the Minutemen just to hold this here. Of course, Doppelsonder's very, very high siege damage, and this town centre going down quite quickly. If this gets sieged down, then he's going to be, you know, absolutely out of the game. He has committed all in so hard to this revolt, it is not even funny here. You can see all he's got is these cavalry archers. But yes, the reason we saw Umeu go up to Fortress Age before he'd even scouted his opponent is because skirmishers, you hit up with 6 skirmishers, you can send 8 skirmishers, you get 3 alarm with each Fortress Age shipment you send. Skirmishers are so much better than crossbowmen. They outrange both Janissaries and Abbas guns, and then you would actually be able to kind of hold. If you can hold in the Fortress Age with skirmishers, that is really where Germany wants to be. They've got some absolutely insane shipments in the Fortress Age that they can send. But this town centre losing HP rapidly here, now coming in, of course, with the cavalry archers and the Spahi, you're going to start taking these out. The units do not want to, of course, take damage whilst they're sieging something, because this town centre is only worth 600 resources. That's where they're fighting right now, and each of these war wagons is worth 300 resources. He just loses 2 war wagons right there, and then that would be the equivalent of the town centre, sort of. But and the Black Riders as well, they're worth 270 gold. Here, actually just going to siege down this thing here, despite taking so many losses from these cavalry archers. He's so determined to bring down that town centre so that his opponent cannot revolt. And as we can see, Aizamk is a long way off being able to revolt here. The pressure from the Germany was sufficient to actually stop him. I think here there were a couple of things that he could have done differently, absolutely, to to get the resources he needed, and we'll cover that in just a moment, but able to actually secure this here. The town's at a very low hit points. If he can repair that, no, he's not going to be able to. Cavalry now coming in. Of course, a shipment there, plus 5 war wagons coming in from the German player. All he's going to have to do is seize down 120 hit points. 8 hussars now appearing. Those will turn into Imperial hussars if he is able to revolt. Definitely going to be quite useful, but there, this town centre, 1 HP left. It goes down. There is, if there was any illusions that this player was going to be able to revolt, it is now gone, because he is so all in. He's so deep that he is now screwed. Like, he's committed everything to this fast revolt. There is no pulling out now, and this is the first time in the game where he's done anything, you know, even considered pulling out, putting up, of course, barracks here now, starting to spend the wood that he'd stockpiled for so long for the revolt. He's had that wood for several minutes now. He's now starting to pull out and do something different, so there is certainly that, but he doesn't have very much to hold this. It's just, you know, this bunch of war wagons here. All he has is 3 cavalry archers to defend. Actually going to start using these units here, these settlers rather, to tank some of the damage in hand combat. Of course, they do have 10 hand attack, only 3 ranged attack, so 10 hand attack is pretty good. If you can do hand damage with settlers, they can actually fight, sort of. Not that great, but there is certainly that. Adding in an outpost, this is where he's going to get military shipments from. He does have another military shipment which he can send. We'll see which one he does choose to send. Is going to arrive at this outpost here, and that is really going to be his last lifeline to holding this German aggression here. But at the moment, he only has 18 villagers. We'll switch over to Umeu, and I'm sure he'll be very far ahead at this point. Ooh, perhaps not. Only 23. I think he might have neglected settler production. I would expect far more than that, but he has, of course, 8 settler wagons. That is, you know, 24 plus 8 then, so we're looking at a 32 settler economy, basically. Hopefully I did my math right. But Aizamk only on 17, not really that many at all here. Only 1 cavalry archer versus all of Umeu's stuff. 2 great bombards on the way. Great bombards are absolutely insane. They should be able to do a very large amount of damage. They have 500 bombard damage against everything. So, and war wagons have 500 HP. That would eliminate a war wagon in a single shot here. But he's got nothing to protect them with. I see he's going to use the settlers there to body block, of course, these 2 great bombards to stop anything from getting close to them so they can stay alive a bit longer. But these 2 Yolans coming through, perhaps getting past these settlers, now going to go into hand combat, using the settlers as anti-cavalry to defend these great bombards. These great bombards very strong, dealing a lot of damage. You can see that with the alt bar, all the HPs have shown that they're actually starting to lose hit points quite fast when one of these shots go off, but managing just to focus down this last great bombard there, and now all he has is 17 settlers, no shipments on the way, no military units in production, no resources coming in, and at this point in the game he says, hey, you've won, well done Umeu. But wow, what a crazy game. I cannot believe Aizamk was that close to getting the revolt in queue. What he could have done differently is this was his first trading post, right? He built this here, he then got a second trading post because of course XP is very valuable once you're revolted, because you need shipments coming out continuously to do well. So he got this up, but I think instead of building his first one here on the same route that Umeu is on, he could have indeed put it up on this one here and upgraded this route at the back, at the top here, because this is quite far away from his opponent. It's quite out the way. If his opponent wanted to take that out, then certainly he could, but it would give him a lot of time, and time to get to the industrial age, right? Time he needs to get there. But if this was upgraded and you've got 2 guys collecting at both these trading sites, then you'd have food, wood, gold, whatever resources you wanted coming in, and that would definitely help you get closer to that revolt. But absolutely crazy game. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. My name has been Interjection. If you enjoyed the video, please do remember to press that like button. I really do appreciate that every single time. But aside from that, I will indeed see you all next time.